We'll get right into it. Calendar of events. I don't have this date on here, but we are at new umpire orientation. So the third bullet down. This isn't going to be the real exciting portion of your training. This is more administration. And Ashley, I think you've been through this, but thanks for sitting in on it. How to get paid, uniforms to wear, schedule for the season, how to get games, and so on. Let's see. Tomorrow and Sunday are rating opportunities, field evaluations. Chris, you want to say anything about that schedule?
So tomorrow, you guys are scrimmaging yourselves. You got a scrimmage in the morning at U of L, but then from 12 to 3, we're going to be playing, some of the high schools will be playing in Louisville at Sacred Heart Academy. So that would be an opportunity for you to come out to get on the field and get a rating. And also Sunday, we've got a rules meeting at Sacred Heart at 12 in their library. And then we're hoping to be on the field at about 2 o'clock till about 4. If you're not able to get on the field for those dates, we'll try to get you on for some of the other dates. I know your season's starting next week. So we sort of move some things up. Typically, we would not be doing ratings this early because the Louisville schools can't really practice officially for another 2.5 weeks or so. But they're going to be out there doing like a practice. And because we're rating, they sort of get an exemption from starting early because the 8 athletic directors know that we need to get people rated. So if you can come out tomorrow, great, from 12 to 3. And then if you can't, Sunday. And then other than that, if you could just send me an email, I will put my email and cell number in the chat. It is also on, my email is on the emails you get from John for that. But please reach out to me. Ashley will tell you I'm pretty quick about getting back. But I'm really happy to work around your all schedules, knowing that your season's starting soon. We have a real shortage of officials nationwide, not just here in Kentucky. So, this is something that you guys, if you want to get started with, you can start now. And, if you keep up with it, we've had 5 officials in the last 3 years move on to collegiate levels. So that way, it's a growing sport. So after you graduate from Louisville, if you want to keep it up, Allison's keeping up. So you're able to officiate, stay involved in the game. If you can't devote the time to be a coach, if you're so inclined to, but the officiating is a nice way to do it.
Let me highlight 2 things Chris said about the rating on the 29 and 30 of January, tomorrow and Sunday. That is a part of the certification. So that will have to happen in some form before you are certified as an official. It could be your first assigned game, which we would have to work out and have another rated official there. It's good to have all your uniforms and equipment available for that. We'll talk about uniforms and equipment later. If not, wear all the black you can. I think U of L has a lot of black in their color uniform, but just wear whatever black you can. And the only equipment that probably won't get shared is the whistle. I mean, I can loan you my flag and my cards and whatever. The rules interpretation meeting on the 30th is also, or the 5th, but the 5th is in Lexington. The rules interpretation clinic is also a mandatory part of this process. That's a good time to join club. We waive first-year officials dues, so no dues due for you, but that's a good time to let folks know that you're joining club. Yeah, I had somebody else join. I'll try to get that later. By, I would say, February 1st, join USA Lacrosse, and you will get your rules book which I just got today in the mail. You need that prior to the test. Have the test passed by the 25th of February. We'll talk a little bit more about the test later. Complete your arbiter account, and we'll talk about that later. That's your pay and your assignments. And then I've got several of the tournaments, when regular season starts and so on. Woodford County, of course, is not in Louisville, but and Owensboro isn't, obviously, but the rest of these tournaments are, and those are a good way to get a lot of games quickly. Sorry. Just FYI, US Lacrosse is now rebranded to USA Lacrosse, so the website is now usalacrosse.com. We'll have time for questions afterward, but if anybody wants to hop in with the chat or something, I think Chris is watching the chat. If you get on the website, when you get on the website, there's a pull-down menu. Here it says coaches right now, but if you pull it down, it'll say officials. And then you go to that link and you get, whatever that is, tab, and then you get all the connections that you need for officials there. You can also get into your account and specific menu items there. Just, I'm fire hosing you, I know, but all your resources will be the NFHS Girls Lacrosse Rules Book, which 2022. Eventually, I haven't gotten it yet, but eventually before the season will come the USAL Youth Rules Book. The Women's Officials Training Manual is not out yet, should be. And then there's the two leagues that we serve have different, and the middle school leagues have various tweaks and policies. Chris, anything you want to say here?
Yeah. So just briefly, they're probably most importantly for all of you, because depending on what year you are at Louisville, the rules have changed quite a bit on the girls' side for high school. Depending on when you left high school, there have been a lot of changes. Just like in the college game, things have started at the college level, and then they usually sort of trickle them down and bring those changes into the high school level. In the manual in the back, there will be several pages going over the differences between the college rules and the high school rules. A lot of it has to do with the possession clock, which they don't have in high school. But you'll really need to be familiar with really sort of the middle school rules, which in this area, the only thing is they have the sphere. You can't check through the sphere, and a couple other little things, but there's fortunately not as many differences as there have been in the past. So those will be the things. We'll get something out to everybody to make sure that you're aware of the differences between the college rules and the high school rules.
All right. And there's the new rules book. It comes as a part of your USAL membership. It's focused on the high school. Chris, anything about, well, you just talked about the rules, I think. The training manual is very important. It's not a sit down and read it thing, but it's more like a reference book. Chris, anything there?
Yeah, so the manual, the rule book goes over the rule, and it might give a couple of instances or circumstances where, if you see this on the field, this is how you adjudicate the rule. As a player, I would recommend, not just as being official, but as a player, the manual is actually should be pretty interesting to go through, because it goes over instances of, like, when is a cover not a cover. A lot of people think when you put your stick over the ball to rake it like a tennis ball pickup, that it's automatically a cover and it's a foul. Well, that's not the case. And the manual goes over these instances of when is a cover not a cover. So when are you not fouling? So as a player, kind of interesting. It also goes over every other rule. So it might help you as a player understand the officials' perspective and what they're looking to call, just as an aside. But as an umpire, it's really good to know, so that way you read it, you see it on the field, you might remember what you read and say, okay, this is I remember that call in the book, and this is what we're supposed to do.
Initial costs. Join USA Lacrosse. I haven't changed this. Chris, you were saying you thought it was 55, 60, something like that. Has anybody
I might think it might be 65. And that's sort of the one thing. Yeah, so club is free. You're getting no dues there. There's no assigner's fee. A lot of associations, and maybe Allison can speak to that up in the Buffalo area, typically there's maybe an assigner's fee. So that money goes to myself, but I don't have that. I've decided not to impose an assigner's fee. So really you just have your uniform. You've got a lot of black gear anyway, so the black, especially when it's cold, will work out fine. But the USA Lacrosse membership is a mandatory one, because as students, I think it might be a little less because you're students, and you can click on there that you're a student, but then you're also an official, but it comes with insurance. So that sort of helps things out. So if you decide to do summer ball, when officiate during the summer, all these tournaments are going to require that you have US Lacrosse membership, because if something were to happen on the field, it protects you as an umpire.
Yes, and when you join USA Lacrosse, that's also part of the certification process. Well, I just went blank on what I was going to say. Make sure you designate that you are an official. You may have joined previously as a player. If so, call in and have them add official to your membership. That has a significance to your insurance. And the test, you find it on usalacrosse.com. It's open book. You need 85% to pass. If there's any math majors among you, if there's 50 questions, you can't come up with an 85%. You got to score 86%. Chris, you want to speak to the test? Which one?
Yeah, so we're going to do the high school rules test. So even middle school is based on high school rules with some variations, but ultimately you need to know the high school rules, and then you can learn what's allowed at the lower level. Print out the test ahead of time. You can print it and take it. Just be careful when you go back in and take the test. Sometimes the order of the answers gets changed within a particular question. So number 10 will usually be maybe the same question, but A might no longer be A, it might be C, and vice versa. So just make sure that you're answering correctly. That way people can't take tests for their whole association and send them out to everybody. Sometimes they change the order of the answers. So print it out, take the test, and when you go in, just sort of make sure that your answers line up to what the current answers are online.
And what do you call an umpire who scores 85%? You call her or him an umpire. So take the test, don't sweat the score, get out on the field, and then learn some more. Taking the test, I'm going to go through this quickly. I'm recording this, so it will go. I'll get it posted and let everybody know by link. Sending out the link. So this is for everybody to kind of remember, but we'll go through quickly, and you can refer to the video. You pull down that tab there, go to officials, the online courses. You'll have to log in, so you'll already have to be a member of USA Lacrosse. This just happened to have the rules exam on the scroll through, but I advise you going to the catalog. And I don't have my glasses on. What's that? Anybody see what that says? Official education and development. So it's the third tab down. And US, well, it's the annual rules exam. Okay. And Circled there are the two tests that are girls related to the girls game. This is the high school test. This is the youth test. We want you to take, as Chris said, the high school test. I recommend before doing that to go to, if you click on that high school test tab, it will get you to this page. Click on resources and print out the rules exam. Chris, anything on process that you want to address here?
No.
Oh, okay. Woo. Okay. And then after you complete the test on paper, and that might be generational, but I need to take a test on paper. It's open book, so you can go back and forth and look through the book. Then go back and, as Chris guided, you fill out the online test. You'll get a little printed out, or not printed out, you'll get a little certificate that you can save to your computer. Save your test certificate just in case something happens with the system. Inform club leadership, your assigner. Your assigner more than likely will be Chris, but I do assign outside of the Louisville area, and then I'll assign some tournaments here in Louisville. And then our registrar, if you get us the information, we can get the registrar the information. He's our club secretary, and he keeps detailed records for club and for us. I'll be able to see when you pass, but it's good for you to let me know or let Chris know. Field evaluation. Chris, anything here for you? We've given you the dates.
Yeah, everybody will get some rating, and the ratings won't keep you off the field. You're in college, so you'll be able to do, if you're proficient enough, to do everything from high school, varsity. Typically, our games are double headers, JV varsity, or some freshmen will be back to back, and then in middle school it'll be like 5th and 6th graders will play, then 7th and 8th graders will play. So everything will be double headers. You won't ever pretty much have a single game. We'll go into pay here in a little bit, but don't worry about the ratings. You'll still be able to get out on the field. You'll still be able to officiate.
Yeah. I think from looking at who's here, I think there's only one conflict of interest, and that's Ashley. You would not be able to do Ballard games, but and I don't know if Maggie's here. If she is, she can't do Eastern high school games. Anybody else from Louisville, you would not be able to do your high school. Yeah, get your rating. It's a starting point, and then I say get it and forget it. I know I, as an assigner, and probably Chris too, really I don't go back and look at ratings to make assignments. Well, maybe in a postseason situation, but I look at how I experience you on the field and so on. Chris, is anything on that? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Your required uniform, 1 inch black, white striped shirt tucked in, professional length black shorts, skirts. Some folks wear tennis, some women wear tennis skirts. Try to find something with as many pockets as you can. Black crew or ankle socks, black shoes. Find some nice, good shoes that are comfortable. And I say 2/3 rule. If they're 2/3 black, that'll be fine. But black shoes is kind of the general rule. Green, yellow, red cards, wristwatch, whistle, pen, pencil, and card, flag. Chris?
No, we have a local company that is out off of the Gene Snyder near the Ford truck plant called Umpire. I'll put the address or the website address online. So they're online, but you can also go in and try out and stuff. They have a changing room, so just sort of makes it nice. if you wanted to do that. But we use 1-inch stripes, which is the same for college. So make sure you don't get a big 2-inch stripe or bigger, but it's just 1-inch stripe. If you want to go with a short sleeve shirt, not knowing if you want to stay with it, you can go ahead and get a short sleeve shirt, but then underneath, if you wanted to wear like a black Under Armour or whatever sweatshirt or something you want to wear underneath, you can do that. So that way in the summer, you know, when it gets warmer, you'll still have that short sleeve shirt, and maybe next year you can get a long sleeve if you wanted.
The operative word is black. Try not to put too many logos on it or have too many logos. Manufacturers' logos are a challenge not to find. That was kind of an obscure way of saying that. It's hard to find gear that doesn't have a manufacturer's logo on it. Chris, I don't think we would have an issue with kind of U of L lacrosse logo on the thing.
No, it's fine. We know and people understand. You know, it's just one of those things for down the road if you decide to stay with it.
Yeah. Minimize logos. Let's see, what is this, I'll really just kind of skip over this. This just sort of gives you an idea of where we are with umpires. The Louisville area is really 3 counties, Jefferson, Oldham, Shelby County. So when I say Louisville, I mean that. And Chris assigns, what do you have, 17 teams? And
Middle school.
And a huge number of middle school teams. Yeah. About 17 high school teams. I have about the same. I have 15 high schools spread around in this area. And I need to draw people oftentimes from Louisville out to the hinterlands. Getting paid and assigned. Arbiter, you will be invited. Chris, I think you handle that for everybody, don't you?
Yes.
Inviting.
Yes.
You want to talk to Arbiter, or you want me
Yeah.
to?
So after this and after tomorrow, if you would like to stay with it, just send me an email and I will put you in Arbiter. Arbiter is our online assigning tool that we use, and it makes things pretty simple. I don't know your schedules, you do. So what you do, if you've got a date in which you can't work, you go into Arbiter and you quite simply block that particular day. Or if it's the same day every week, if you've got like a late class that you will not be able to get away from to officiate, you just go in there and you block, say, every Monday for the whole season. And so that way, when I go in to look for people to put on games, you don't even show up for that day. So it makes it simple. You can block by hours if you get done at a particular time. We've got a number of schools that are in the downtown area, which would be easy games for you guys to get to. But you know, if you finish, say, a class at 5:30, but you'd be available from 6 o'clock on, you know, block till 6, and it gives you like a 30-minute window to travel. So you'd be available at 6:30 to do maybe a single game, something like that. So just go in and put everything in Arbiter. It makes it simple. They have an app that you can download and everything shows up there. And you can also handle your pay. Most of the schools will be paying through Arbiter, and so they will put it into your account, and then you have to go in there and you have to transfer it into your checking account or a savings account. And transfer takes like 2 days. There's no fee for you to initiate that transfer. And then there's also a record of what you've been paid for. So that makes it nice where you can go back in and you're like, oh, gee, did I get paid by the school on the state? You can go back in and you can see.
Chris pretty well covered Arbiter and Arbiter Pay. Let me, I'll just show you what it looks like. You'll have to wait for his invitation. And then you follow the link to Arbiter and get your account set up. Arbiter does not cost you anything. And you'll log in. There's what login looks like. I'm just going to kind of breeze through these because, and you will be joining and participating in KSL Girls, KSLL Girls, Kentucky Scholastic Lacrosse League Girls. and that will show up. It might be the only thing that shows up. If you do multiple sports, you'll have, this is mine. I've got a bunch of, got field hockey and all that other stuff in there too, administrative stuff. There is the main page of Arbiter. I've circled probably the most important part of Arbiter. Once you've got your account set up on the main page, you need to check that box that says ready to be assigned. If that box is not checked, 9 times out of 10, if you don't get games, that's what hasn't been checked. If you don't check that box, you don't appear to Chris or I to be assigned. Schedule, this is I'm following this, these tabs up here. This is what the schedule looks like, except there's nothing there in my future. So I went into my past, and this just shows a bunch of field hockey games. But that's what it looks like. When you get a game, it'll direct you to this site. And over here on this side will give you the opportunity to accept or decline the game, the assignment. Let's talk about pay. This is what your pay situation.
Hey, John, real quick on the assigning. Yeah. So I will typically go in and we've got sort of 2 distinct seasons, one before spring break and one after, usually 3 to 4 weeks before spring break, which is the first week of April or thereabouts. And then you've got 4 weeks or so after spring break. So what I will typically do is I will email everyone. I'll say, hey, I'm going to start assigning games. So the teams are giving me their schedules now, and I'm going to assign games. So, you know, from February 3rd, get your blocks in before February 3rd, because I'm going to start assigning February 4th for this period, and I'll give the period. So that way you'll know, because maybe you don't know what's going to happen in 6 weeks, but you know what your schedule is going to be like in the first 3 weeks. So you go in, you block those first 3 weeks, and then I'll go assign those games. And then a couple weeks later, I'll send out a similar email saying, hey, look, I'm going to start assigning from April, 8th games through May 1st. Get your blocks in by this date, and then I'll assign the games. We both understand that things change, and sometimes you miss a date. It happens. And schedules get changed. I mean, I'm having schedule changes for the college games all the time now. And that's just the way it is. And we understand that. Just communicate. Just, hey, Chris, because unlike some assigners, when they assign a game, you don't even have the option of declining or not. It just automatically, it's in your schedule. The assigners are assuming that you will get all your blocks up to date. And when they send out a game, you automatically get it. I don't do that. I give you the ability to accept or decline. And if you don't know, say, Chris, you assign me this game on the 3rd. I'm not sure if I can do it, but I don't want to decline it just yet. In a week, I'll know. Just send me a text, say, hey, I need a week to decide. Because what happens is after a certain time, that game will be taken away from you, because we need to get umpires on those games. So the longer you wait, chances are you might lose the game. But just communicate. Just say, I got something, and then I'll make a note of it, and then I'll revisit with you later. But again, just a quick text. That's all we need.
I won't be assigning you all to any Lexington games or Bowling Green games, but you all are really ideally located, if you have the time, to go down to E-Town. I have a couple of U of L students that aren't on your team that go down there and have a good experience, and a couple of games down there is, well, we'll talk about game fees later, but it's worth your while if you can make it to E-Town. Oh, come on. Why is this not changing?
And for those who don't know, E-Town is just a little, it's about 25 miles south of Louisville. So it's really not
Elizabethtown.
Look, if you're from Chicago and it takes you 2 hours to get from one side of the city to the other, I mean, it's a short trip. But for us here, we're like, you're going cross country, and it's 20 minutes. It's like Kay when she comes in the morning from Shelbyville. It might seem like you're coming from another country, but it's about a 20-minute trip.
Payments, I think the only thing I'll say there, you will have to, well, not the only thing, you will have to set up your pay account, and Chris and I can't get in there and tinker with it like we can with assignments. He mentioned checking or savings account. That's the least expensive. It doesn't cost you anything. Way to transfer funds to some sort of bank account. And you can see there that I've got, that's where it goes to my checking account. You'll get, when you go on to Arbiter, if you'll have a little announcement when you first go on there that you've got X number of dollars. I think when you go to your schedule, you just go to this tab and the dashboard and click transfer funds, and it'll walk you through that. And whenever the ADs put it in, sometimes all they got to do is push a button on their computer. Sometimes they'll do it the night after the game. Sometimes they'll do it in a couple days. Within 2 days of when you tell Arbiter to transfer your funds, you've got them. 2 or 3 days, I think, is their max, but good system. You'll get a 1099 from Arbiter. Keep track of your games and your payments. Not all the lower level teams, middle school teams, sometimes will not pay by Arbiter. I think most of the high schools do now, if not all. Those that don't pay by Arbiter, give them about 10 working days because they've got to mail it out and write the check and sign it and so on. Anything else on pay, Chris? We're flying.
Wait, have we gone over game fees?
I'm getting there. I'm getting
Okay.
there, I think. Yeah. Chris mentioned blocking games. Here's the block tab, and you can go in, for example, and block all day. That's what I'm showing there with my pointer, and then just click on the date and it'll block out that day. You can also block, you just kind of play with it and you'll figure it out. This is the list. I happen to have it on all the umpires and the Arbiter account, the Kissel Girls account. If you happen to need to locate an umpire, that's the way to do it.
And real quick for me, sorry, John.
Yeah.
I want to make it as easy as possible for y'all. So if you have a roommate, I don't know who's rooming with each other, but if you have a roommate that is also going to officiate and you're available, just send me a text and say, hey, Chris, so-and-so and I are available together on this date. I will do what I can to get you both on games at the same site for that evening. So that way you can take one car, you can go, and just makes it easier. And I'm sure John for Elizabethtown,
yeah,
that would be the best way of doing it. So you carpool, but everybody gets the extra fee. If you go to Elizabethtown, there's a bump in fee because you're traveling. So just like I said, just communicate. Just let me know if there's someone that you do or don't want to work with.
Profile. You'll get Arbiter will communicate with you by email. We can Chris and I usually do text if it's real quick emergency type thing or urgent type thing. Chris, you have a nice talk about putting the picture in, so
yeah, John and I aren't as young as we used to be, and it just makes it much simpler for us if you put a picture in your profile. It's very simple. Just take a selfie and just upload it on the website to your profile. It really helps us because, like this Saturday and Sunday, I might see 20 people out there, and especially for everybody on this call, other than a couple, this could be the first time that I've really met all of you. And it's just tough for us to keep everybody straight. But if there's a picture, that really helps quite a bit. So just put a picture in there. It doesn't need to be, I'm sure Ashley's going to put a glamour shot in there, but we don't need a glamour shot. We can just do a little quick selfie. Just need to see your smiling face. So just something very simple. And also sometimes coaches can also pull up this information, and it helps them. Maybe they've got something nice to say, and they're just remembering which one of the two officials it was. and they go in and see the picture. So just remember that. But it's very simple, just something easy to do.
Okay, game fees. In the Louisville area, that's anything Chris is assigning. Varsity games are $90 and JV games are $50. Now there's a discount for a doubleheader. Is it 135 or is it 140 still? Okay, so you go to 2 games for 50 minutes of running, different timing regimens, but there's $140. That's a week's worth of ramen noodles easily.
And for those of you who don't know, John's daughter played field hockey at U of L.
Oh yeah.
He knows about ramen noodles, but no, it's actually really good. That is up from 100. It was 105 last year, and everybody's fees got raised with the shortage of officials. So it's actually really nice. So we went from 105 to 140. Middle school games, which I said, you'll have 2, and the timing of those are usually about an hour. So, you'll get $100 for working 2 hours and maybe 15 minutes. Varsity games, first one usually is 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and you'll be off the field probably about 8:30 to 9 for $140. So it's nice. And you might want to ask Ashley how well she did her senior year, because she picked up a ton of middle school games and freshman games. But I know she did pretty well for a high school senior.
Yeah. The several tournaments that we assign, the fees are by negotiation. Chris and I will negotiate a fee for you there. The teams I assign outside of Louisville, the varsity fee is $75, so it's a little bit less, but if you travel a long way, you'll actually get some travel fee here, travel money. It's new this year. Blurb about travel. Okay, so the executive committee is still debating how to calculate all this, but here's the basic system. We're not going to measure how far each of you go to each game, but we're going to go from area to area. So from Louisville to E-Town, or Louisville to Lexington, or Lexington to Bowling Green, or whatever. So here's the travel. And I haven't really, Chris, most of your assignments would not fall out in the travel area, but a lot of mine would. So I guess that's it. Don't pay attention to that. I think that's changing. So, what coaches, players, and spectators should expect from you at a game: appropriate conduct, appropriate equipment, appropriate fitness, appropriate communication, both before and after the game and during the game. Chris, anything about communication?
No, I mean, it's one of those things where the sidelines are one of the reasons why we've lost a lot of umpires. Fortunately, in our game, we have the ability, maybe not so much when it's teeter on the sideline, but when for our normal run of the mill for high school games, we have the ability to go to the coaches and pretty much put the unruly parent on the coach. And so if the coach doesn't go to that parent and say, quiet down, if that parent says something else, then we can card the coach. And when you card the coach, you can pull a player off the field for a yellow card. That tends to send a really good message to that parent that their behavior is not acceptable. Problem is, a lot of the umpires are hesitant to take that first step. And you just very commonly call a timeout, get the coaches together. The coach knows who that parent is typically, and in many cases is the star player's mom or dad. And you just go to the coach, say, Coach, you need to talk to that parent, and they need to cheer for the team, and that's it. They don't need to comment about calls or anything else, especially not making comments about the other team's players. So you just tell the coach that it's now their job, and the coach will go over to that parent and talk to them. And if you hear them again, then you call timeout and card the coach. Happens again, you card the coach. Now she's ejected. She's got to talk to her athletic director why she got ejected, and maybe sit out another game depending on that school's policy. So it's just one of those things, but we have to take that step. No one should be the subject of abuse out there. And hopefully I'll be able to pair you with someone who's been officiating for a while. Doesn't mean they're great officials, but they should be able to know how to handle these situations. But just be aware, you don't need to sit out there and take abuse from a parent or a coach. And communicate with John or myself if you do have issues. Just text us or call us right after the game, and we'll address it. There's other instances that occur with parents, but just let us know. And if we don't get it taken care of, typically what I will tell the coach is, if that parent doesn't face a suspension, then we're not going to assign officials to their games. So it's pretty dire from their perspective. They either take care of the parent and make sure that parent doesn't come to any games, whatever length we determine, or they don't get officials, so they can't play. But like I said, you've got to communicate with us and use the tools that you have to control the situation. But you don't ramp it up. You you're the calming demeanor out there.
And communication with partner and AD before. Chris, you want to say anything to that before the game?
Yeah, so arbiter sends out an email about 2 days before the game, and that email will have the site of the game, who the home team, away team are, the coach's email, maybe the AD for the home team's email, contact info, and then the two umpires. What I like for the lead umpire, the first umpire listed, to do is maybe take that email and just forward it to the two coaches and say, coaches, here are the details for our game. If something changes, let us know, period, done. You don't have to go into anything else, because it is all spelled out. The reason for that is a lot of coaches, sometimes they get home and away games mixed up. They think it's a home game, but it's actually an away game. So the two umpires show up to XYZ high school, and they're sitting there with the home team, and there's no opposing team, because that opposing team is back at their school thinking it's a home game. So just so that way there's no miscommunications, but it also then gives you the email address and contact info for your partner. So if you get held up with a class or traffic or whatever else, call your partner, text them, give them a ring. They should have their phone with them before the game begins, not after the game begins, but before, and just say, hey, I'm stuck in traffic. I should get there about 10 minutes before game time. And then that partner can then do some things prior to the game, check the field, do these other things. And that way, when you show up, you can get the game going on time.
What you should expect as an umpire from everybody else at the game, again, everything appropriate. There is a zero tolerance in the KHSAA, which we follow those policies, and I think in both leagues, for inappropriate behavior or language. So, and I exercise that by, for example, if I hear an inappropriate word, an obscenity, or behavior, or see behavior, and can identify the player, that for me, the first instance is a yellow card, and that gets but that's the general policy, zero tolerance. Obscenities, race-related, demeaning, anything that would be demeaning of another player. I've even carded I've even carded a coach for berating and using obscenities during halftime against her own team. That might not happen in college, but that's something I do. I've never had an issue with safe passage to my vehicle, but try to leave the venue together. And if you have any concern for getting to your vehicle safely, ask the game manager, whom you should have already identified or should have identified himself or herself, usually the host AD, and they're in charge of your security. So they will get you to your vehicle. I don't anticipate any problems, but you know, rather solve the problem before it happens than solve it after it happens. Anything here, Chris?
Yeah, no, we just say this because I'm sure you've seen videos or heard about, you know, parents or coaches, typically with like football or basketball or something. Here, lacrosse is still a relatively newer sport. A lot of times parents are sort of new to it. They come from football where it's okay to yell and scream and do all these things. But yeah, we haven't had any instances where parents have followed people, but John's just sort of letting you know, you know, you enter the field with your partner because you're part of a team. You leave the field with your partner because you're part of a team. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You're a team. That's one of the reasons. When you take the field at Louisville, you know, you guys come out of your locker room together as a team. You go in as a team. And same thing, we're the third team on the field.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got a text from an umpire. If you have questions about how to interpret the rules, there are nuanced differences between the college game and the high school game. After the game, call your assigner, or if you're wondering about something before you're headed to a game, call the assigner or text. If you have a mentor, somebody with a little more experience that you want to ask a question, or ask your partner at the game. During the game, I mean, there's two of us on the field normally for high school games here and middle school games. There's always going to be a gap of knowledge, so you know, turn to your partner and say, you know, this is what I called. I know it's wrong. I can't remember how to set it up. Don't say that too loud though, but you know, ask your partner if you have a rules question. If you happen to have a complaint against a coach, or if a coach has a complaint against an umpire, well, first of all, you call your assigner. If you call us, if you think there's going to be a problem, I'd rather hear from you first than hear from the coach. Chris, I think your rule, which is good, is you tell coaches to wait 24 hours before getting to you, and then I'll wait another 24 hours to respond to a coach, just to kind of let things simmer down and relax a little bit. Chris, anything about complaints that you want to say?
No, you know, sometimes there's questions that coaches have. You know, if I need to get clarification on something, I usually will just ask you simple questions. But yeah, our coaches here are fairly appreciative of getting officials out there because they understand that you know, it's just tough. We've lost, you know, most sports we've lost, especially with COVID, we've lost, you know, roughly 30% of our officials over the last like 3 years.
Yeah. I think you'll find that if a coach complains about anything you may or may not have done, that Chris and I, our default position is always to be on your side, but we will try to gather all the information we can and come up with a calm response to the coach. I would say too, leaving, I worked with a young umpire once that he had set up a foul wrong, and the coach had been riding him all, it was a middle school game, and the coach had been riding him. And after the game was over, he wanted to go and tell the coach, you know, that really he needed to, you know, he just wanted to correct the coach a little bit. And I said, nah, let's don't let anybody have an opportunity to be stupid. Just, you know, when the game's over, if you had an issue with a coach or something going on, leave the game. Don't let anybody have an opportunity to be stupid, and then just give Chris and me a call, or me a call, not both of us. Okay, let's open it up. Any questions?